Hey gang, welcome to a special episode of Directions. I am Christian Gaddis, the Director of Recruitment Marketing. And as always, I'm joined by my good friend,
Carly Ortiz, the Senior Talent Manager at 43 North.
And we're excited because we have a special guest with us here today. Lauren Jenkins is the head of marketing at StoreCash. And Lauren has a really cool story that we're going to kind of dive into. I think my favorite thing about this is we found you in our talent network, which is packed with candidates. And so for us, you know, we always look at this as an opportunity to kind of pick that diamond out of the rough.
Thank you, Christian.
I mean, you know, I don't often toot our own horn, but I feel like for us, like this was a good one, you know, especially when we have one of our newer companies coming in to be able to find a quality position and really someone with the talent that they need. It's critical for us, right? And it's critical for them. So it's always excellent when that happens. And we're always just super proud of it. So Lauren, welcome. We usually start by asking our favorite interview question. So first and foremost, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So like we were just talking about, I am a mom of three. So I have three children. I am a proud Buffalonian. I've been in marketing for about 15 years at various tech companies in the corporate world. And I have even started my own business, except that was more of a side business with flowers, because who doesn't love flowers? And they're so pretty and fun.
For real.
So I do definitely have the entrepreneurial bug. And yeah, I've just been kind of doing a lot of different things, but generally I love brand positioning, messaging, just trying to bring different products, services, missions to the world and to the people that need to hear about them. So it's been a fun career ride so far.
Yeah, love that. That's so awesome, right? And I think, you know, you hit on all these things with your background and kind of the trips and the journeys and the entrepreneurial spirit that even you have yourself. Mm-hmm. And we always talk to people and kind of talk about, like, you know, there are certain things that you need to be in this startup space and to live in this world. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, I'm like, okay, check the box. Yeah, we did a really good job of finding this person, right? This is amazing. So that's so cool just to hear that, right? So I think, you know, let's dive in a little bit into, right, your story of kind of how you ended up at StoreCash. I know I already kind of started by patting us on the back early, but I'd love to just hear from your perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, how'd that go down for you?
Yeah. You actually found me at a good time. I mean, Christian, we've known each other over the years. And you had sent me a note just about looking for a marketing specialist that StoreCash was looking for. And I don't know, like it intrigued me. And so it got to the point of just having the conversation and learning more about it. And it was just that right time of just trying to make the next move in my career and try to figure out what that was. So yeah, it was kind of right time, right person, right cause, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah. And you know what I love about that is how easy that was for you on your side of the experience, right? Definitely. Carly and I can give you some insight into the background, right?
I'd love to hear it.
we meet with Darius and he's like, I need a marketing person. And Carly, I think you can more so do a justice of kind of the unicorn he was looking for in this situation.
Yeah. And it was an opportunity for Darius to tell us, like, okay, I need a marketing specialist. And then he starts going down this rabbit hole of every area of marketing. And I was like, oh, this is like 5 people in one. Like, what are we going to do? And so we have a more in-depth conversation with Darius. And then we come to realize, you know what, let's dive into our talent network, right? We go in there and Christian is like, hey, I know Lauren. I've worked with Lauren in the past. And so we put our feelers out there. We messaged a lot of people and, you know, someone that had experience doing it all in corporate and startup, just all different areas. We thought we were looking for 5 different people and we ended up finding somebody like you, Lauren, who has it all. And it was an opportunity to tell Darius, like, hey, we think you should talk to this person. She's got experience in many different areas that we think can be an asset to your team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, you know, for us, it's almost like Compass is like the little duck on the water, right? It's like it's calm from the candidate perspective on top, and then underneath, Carly and I are pedaling like hell to find the right people for the right roles.
I love that analogy because that's so true.
Yeah. So, you know, I guess then, Lauren, right, from you, even on your standpoint, what attracted you? What made you want to kind of join the talent network? Like, you saw this thing and you were like, sure, why not?
Yeah. Well, it was just one of those. Why not? I'm not going to turn down the conversation. So I had a great conversation with Darius and Sheetal originally. Told them about myself. And then I really just started grilling them and asking them about StoreCash and just kind of asking them a lot of different questions, a lot of different things. And it was just a really great natural conversation out the gate. In talking to them, there was a lot of opportunity. I felt like there was some, like I could really, truly, and still believe that I can make a big difference and really help them with all the experience that I have.
So, yeah, that's great. And so before we get like too far down the road, right? Because I know we've said StoreCash a lot, but just in case anyone's watching and they don't know, they're like, what is StoreCash, right?
Good call.
You know, let's make sure that they know.
Yeah. StoreCash is a cashback app. With StoreCash, you get instant cash back on your purchases. So you can go and purchase store credit at hundreds of companies across thousands of brands on store or in store and online. So if you're going to Dunkin' Donuts, say, and you're going and buying coffee for the office and all the donuts and all the things, and they tell you it's like $30 and say it's 5% cash back. I'm not good at math, so I'm not going to do that now. But at the same time, you basically go in, you type in how much your total is at Dunkin' Donuts, and then you purchase the store credit at Dunkin' Donuts. And then it gives you the credit that you go and scan at the window, essentially. And your cash back is instantly within your available savings account in StoreCash that then you can use for future purchases and all of those things. But it's really interesting because the instant aspect of it, a lot of the times you have to wait for it. The highest cashback rates is also another really big thing.
So paying with a barcode, a QR code is essentially what it is in an app, and bringing the highest cashback. Like I feel like I've been on the app and seen like 15% cashback at some retailers.
Yeah. That was one of my big questions is like, well, why are our rates so much higher than a lot of the other cashback apps out there? And Derek was like, well, we don't take an affiliate commission. I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, obviously these companies, they have to make money somehow. And the way that these cashback apps operate is by like affiliate marketing, essentially. So brands will pay, say like Ibotta or Rakuten or Honey or any of these different things. So say it'll be 12% cash back at Dunkin' Donuts, we'll say. And that's what the brand is giving to the cashback company. And then a consumer. So then Christian, you're going and you're purchasing at Dunkin' Donuts and then you see, oh, I get 10% cash back at Dunkin' Donuts. And then they take the 2% off the top. So, but that's where Derek is like, well, we don't do that. And I was like, well, that's an amazing story we need to start telling as far as like how we can be more of a disruptor in this industry and how we can speak to it. And then that goes to educating the customer about, well, why? And why is this different? We came into this industry. We did all this research within the cashback industry. Affiliate marketing is where the money is made. That's the main revenue stream across all of these cashback companies. But we're different. We don't do that. What we do is we offer a 30-day free trial. And then it's $199 a month billed annually, where you ultimately pay that subscription fee. And then after that, like your earnings are limitless.
I think we need to say like Lauren's only been on the team for a month. Like she's been on the StoreCash team for 1 month, and look at how much she was just able to tell us, not only about StoreCash, but all of the learning and educating that she has done thus far. And I think that's kind of like goes into a little bit about like 43 North Compass and what we do on the education piece of it. So we get that. That's it. 1 month in and boom, she's an expert.
I mean, she's teaching me stuff about like the cashback industry and everything else.
I know. I'm like excited because as I've been reading about it, I was like, Derek she'll be like, we've got a really cool story to tell.
Right.
We got to start telling it.
You know, you hit on another thing that we often end up talking to founders and hiring managers at these startups about, which is like that when they look for a skill set in potential hires, right? They look for someone who's a lifelong learner, right? Someone who is just always curious about, okay, I understand it's barcodes, but like, why? What's the deeper thing? What's the story in that? And so I'd love to hear from you, right? Kind of like, how did you come about that? How did that develop over the course of your career, or have you just always been that way?
Well, I mean, as you know, I worked in agency world for a long time. So generally, I think in an agency and a consulting world, you're working with so many different companies, and it first starts with, okay, who's your customer, and what do you do, and what's your value prop? What makes you different? What are the things that what does your product or solution solve in the mind of that user? And then how can we ultimately go and kind of pinpoint that and just kind of agitate that problem or raise that problem to the surface and then insert them as the solution to it. Honestly.
Yeah. See, now I feel like we're really about to dive into the good stuff, right? Because like you hit on kind of right one of those key things, right? We always say to everyone, startup may be for you. Startup may not be, right? Corporate may be for you. It may not be. The key is kind of knowing and understanding that. And so for you, as someone who's lived in both those worlds and both those spaces, like, talk a little bit about what that is, right? What made you decide, yes, this opportunity in a startup is right for me based on my experience in the corporate world? And we just really want to educate people on, right, what that is.
If you are trying to make that jump into the startup world, it can seem a little scary. It can seem like a risk. It can seem like, all of these other things. It can also seem like an incredible opportunity. I think too, kind of going back to some of my own experience, I've always tried to carve out roles where I could have a level of autonomy to be able to try things. I think there's some safety in being able to be in more of a corporate, steady type of role,
right?
And do that. But at the same time, going to a startup, like if you want autonomy, there it is, because it's not I think the process is sometimes there's a process, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes we're just building it. You just have to do it. Or, you're not, the level of delegation is very limited. It needs to happen. Okay. Somebody figure it out and get it done. And so also the opportunity there, I think, is even just being able to be resourceful and be innovative. And even if it is a stepping stone on your broader career journey, to say, okay, I did corporate and then I went to startup and then maybe you want to go back to corporate again, but you're going to bring that experience of being nimble, of being, a doer and being a problem solver and all of those things. Budgets aren't increasing these days. If anything, it's like you're asked to do more with less. And if that's not a, slogan for the startup world, I think, that's
definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, whether it's a stop on your career journey or whether it's something that you really want to dive into, learn, and then maybe even start your own, I think the opportunities are limitless. And 43 North Compass is a really great platform for people to be able to explore and determine if this is the world for them, or if, what it entails, what's it about, what are the opportunities, what are the possibilities, what are the, again, who's your audience and what's their barrier to entry? What are the things that are keeping them from trying it, And I think that's exactly what 43 North Compass is really great at. You've got your talent pool. You have all of these different things. You understand the startup world. You understand the challenges and all of those things, but you also understand the vast opportunity that's available for people should they make that jump. And it's really powerful. So then being able, and I think 43 North Compass does an incredible job communicating those things out and breaking down those barriers to entry for people who are kind of on the fence or wanting to try, to give it a shot,
I love that.
So Lauren, you hit on this a little bit earlier, right? Talking about how it's more than just seeing jobs and kind of throwing your name into this, oblivious virtual ring and hoping that someone selects you out of it. Right. Even though that is kind of what happened for you, but still, I think, and I'd love to kind of, even talk a little bit more about just the value of being able to network and connect and having all these other opportunities to really not only access me and Carly, but to access founders in this ecosystem. It's
great to be able to have those resources to be able to see what it's like. So say that is one of the things you're really thinking about it. Is the startup world for me? I don't know. There's some trepidation there, but you have all of these resources between the two of you. But like you said, even to the founder, there was an intern within the offices, like just kind of popping in one time Dericus was here. He was like, hey, I just wanted to just get your ear for a minute. And like, I'm thinking about starting an app. Like, could I sit down and talk to you? Like, what an incredible access or resource to be able to have to talk to a founder or somebody who's doing it. These interns these days are built different because same, like when I was their age, I was like, I'm just trying to make it to class right. and then take a nap. And they're like, I'm going to build an app and have my third business that I'm launching. I'm like, okay, you kids, you're going to run the world. I look forward to the day that you're my boss. So thank you so much for that.
And And so the networking opportunities don't just exist if you're trying to explore the startup world, or you're talking to Christian and I with 43 North Compass, but you're an intern at one of the 43 North portfolio companies. We all reside on the same floor. There's about 20 companies to give people an idea, on the 24th floor of Seneca One. And an intern randomly walks into an office to ask a founder, hey, can I pick your brain? What an opportunity for that student.
Yeah.
And then
Remember at that moment, I was like, wow. Okay. Yeah.
So networking exists obviously everywhere, but there's certain, I guess, opportunities, learning, educating. I feel like that's like been the moral of our story here today. Networking, learning, educating.
Yeah.
And we're all doing it in different ways.
Yeah.
Totally. So, Lauren, I think we can kind of wrap up with this with just kind of the final thought of, if you were to give someone one piece of advice, whether they're in the corporate world thinking about switching, whether they're a, student maybe coming fresh out of college, or if they're just someone who's just, even just curious, right? What advice would you give to anyone who's kind of considering startup or thinking about or interested in learning more about this space?
The advice I'd give is, it especially applies here, but just across a career in general, is just taking anything that may be perceived as a risk, to flipping it more into what opportunity could it present. And that is really limitless when it comes to the startup world. I think just go for it.
Yeah. Mindset's everything, right? You gotta kind of flip the way you think about it and just go for it. I think that's great. That's great advice for anybody. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. Me. A great conversation. Love hearing about your story and can't wait to see where you and StoreCash end up next. I'm excited just because I know I have some bucks in my StoreCash wallet that are burning a hole in my pocket right now. But all right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you. We'll catch you on the next episode of Directions.